seemingly a lot of confidence about these conditions. She's only run twice in the wet before. Both times she felt very comfortable, and her driver coach is actually a man who won here at the Glen, crazy to say, a decade ago in very wet conditions with a car not dissimilar from the one that's out on the track today. Of course, the technology was much worse back then, but it's still comforting to know that your coach, when they're on the radio telling you, hey, you can brake 50 feet later into the corner, they actually know what they're talking about because they've done it in these conditions.
Done here, been here, knows where the tricky little bits are. The cars have traction control, of course, and that's something else which the coaches will be helping the drivers decide on what settings to go with. I was wondering whether we might see a dry line towards the end of the 4 sessions, because obviously we've got 4 different categories here. Looking at the track now, I'm not sure.
The trouble will be, as you mentioned, with pop-up showers, there's so much rain and humidity in the air that even when the water gets picked up by the Pirelli wets, which move, as you can see, a lot of water, it lingers and it just settles back down on the track. So I'm not entirely convinced we're going to see any kind of a dry line.
Certainly not in this first session, which is Copa Shell AM. So we have 4 categories: Copa Shell AM, Copa Shell, then Pirelli AM and Pirelli. With respect to the drivers, we would expect those sessions to get faster because it's all about experience. It's about the ladder that Ferrari built these drivers up to, which is fantastic. We've seen some great talent coming through. And we're about to see our drivers coming through. Jeffrey Nürnberg looks like he's going well on the run up to the bus stop. And they're going to start setting laps fairly soon.
And this is such a nerve-wracking time because the drivers, they did go out on that initial lap. They got a sight for what the track looked like, where some of the puddles are on the curbing. You want to stay off the curbs 100% in this session because that's where all the water would be remaining. But now they're throwing it in angry. They're taking their braking points a little bit deeper. They're rolling back onto the throttle a little bit sooner. Jeff Nürnberg right now is sort of the example, the pace setter for everyone else.
Interesting to see when you're looking at track conditions. So the long left-hander there on the line, there's very little spray. You come out and you can see where the water runs across the track here, top right of your picture to bottom left. There was also quite a lot of water in the run down to turn 1, so it's inconsistent. And for the more experienced drivers, that's less of a problem. When you're less experienced, you're constantly trying to read the road surface. Here, look at the spray here, completely different. So it's a lot for these drivers, and I think so far everybody doing brilliantly.
Yeah, Michael Owens showing his experience, the Canadian from Ferrari of Alberta, represented clearly a lot of snow driving in his past because he's not scared about these slippery conditions. Very, very adept with that purple and green machine. The number 103 had a good race yesterday, not coming home with the win though. So Michael Owens will be looking to try and steal pole position, and more importantly, the point that comes with it, because yesterday it was all about Lewis Floyd in the 183 machine.
Lewis, of course, made that pass to take the lead back into the bus stop. I guess if it was wet later on, we probably will see more passing because the pace differential between the drivers will be more, and I think that there's more to be gained on the risk and reward scale than there is in the dry. And we mentioned this yesterday, I'd quite like to see a wet race, but I'm guessing a lot of the drivers don't. But what a lot of them were saying is, here is Flory, yesterday's winner. A lot of them were saying he's great to have. Look how close it is, by the way, as well. 1.5 seconds over the top 5. That's closer than it was in the dry yesterday. So they're all very similar on pace, at least. But they're all saying the grid is going to get messed up.
Yes.
You might have people who are looking at it. I mean, it's all the usual suspects at the top, so not that messed up. But they were thinking, could they steal a march on their competitor? You know, can I get pole and my rival doesn't?
Well, and also, I mean, we've got 14 seconds right now. If we go back to the last car that has set a lap, this is very much exploration. We are not at a level where anyone is comfortable, as we are almost already at halfway through this qualifying session. This will come down to a last lap if we do stay green, because all of these cars are going to get more and more comfortable. All the drivers are going to get more and more comfortable, I should say, with how their cars are reacting. That is the invaluable part of being out on the track. And of course, we need to remember track conditions should be not dissimilar at some point during the race later on this afternoon because of that threat of the random showers. You want the experience of being out there right now, Andrew, to figure out what it's like.
Absolutely.
So that when there's 20 other cars around you and you can't see anything, you at least know which way the track goes.
Danny Patel's in P7 at the moment, which is good for him. He seems comfortable enough out there. Sebastian Mascaro we'll see later on, who's Danny's mate, and he was saying he's very comfortable in the wet. It was pouring last year at Finale Mondiali in Italy. He's like, I've done tons of laps, I feel okay about it. So it's that varying thing, isn't it, of what people expect from their experience.
Well, and I kind of joked about it earlier, but it is true. Michael Owen's Canadian. Yeah, when you live in Canada,
it's a snow race.
You do live in quite a bit of snow
you're in those stupid conditions.
In various points, but drivers such as Roberto Ferrari to Seattle.
Oh, now we have a spin
for Michael Owens.
And that's just as we were giving him the proper announcer's curse. Gets away with it though, gets it off the line as quickly as he can. So nice. And that was pretty slow motion too, so he's exploring the limits and has found it. Gabe Cribb has gone quicker than Lewis Flory, the driver formerly known as Louis.
Dollar in the jar.
Kozyra, look, he's up in the P3, 1.1 off. Let's take a look at this one again. It's on the exit of turn 11, quite early actually, on the inside line.
He was much further down towards the curb, and it actually slightly unsettled Flory as he lifted just a tiny bit to avoid the competition. But that was a very innocuous spin. I think that Michael will be okay getting back. Now, this lap will not be as quick because he doesn't carry the momentum coming out of turn 11, but he should get one more with 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on the clock.
At the minute, they are roughly, I mean, yesterday's pole time was a 1:48, and this is obviously a 2:08, call it, so they're roughly plus 20. And what I'm interested to do is compare across the categories, are they all roughly plus 20? We'll see. Obviously, track conditions are going to change a bit. Already, to me, there are areas where there's less standing water, where those Pirellis have moved some of that water out of the way, which would make it harder to pass if it was a race situation. But of course, it's not at the minute. It's just about getting those quick laps done. So Rib leads from Flory. Flory 0.8 back. Flory was yesterday's pole.
Yes.
And he's only 0.8 off. Kozyra third, Nürnberg fourth, Corley, Hummel and Owens. Patel even, all within 3 seconds, and down to P8. Let's look at Danny Patel. I'm trying to think what his best quality is.
He's not far off of where he was yesterday, and yesterday was only the 2 laps.
No, yeah, to be fair, he had a 4th in Daytona and a 5th in Miami. So, but Danny hasn't had any running in the wet.
No.
First season.
Exactly. Still fairly new to this whole competitive aspect of the Ferrari challenge, and doing a great job. Staying well off of the line as well. Doesn't want to get any sort of slippery moment in the car, as coming across the start-finish line again, Henry Hummel moves up a position. He's now up to P5. What was that lap time for Patel?
Kozyra with Rib in behind. Somebody parked on the inside line there on the exit of turn 1.
I think that's Tom Petramolo who's parked on the inside. Yes, it is, the number 138. Let's see if maybe he can get moving again and we can stay green as Lewis Flory improves his best time. He is 6 thousandths of a second better than the time that Harib did.
Oh, wow, yes, just stolen it off him. Here he is. So Lewis Flory.
Patel up to P3 as well.
Wow, okay, that would be Patel's best qualifying. This is late in the session here. And that car, we're hearing, by the way, the parked car of Petramolo has been there for 4 minutes. So, so that's the good news is they're unlikely to red flag it as a result. If they felt uncomfortable, they'd have done it ages ago. But 6 thousandths between Flory and Harib, that would be the closest margin, I reckon. Well, I was going to say it wouldn't, but actually it won't be, because yesterday we had a plus 0.000 in Trofeo Pirelli, perfectly equal lap time. So that can't be beaten, so we can stop worrying about that. Patel, look, almost exactly 1 second off Harib, and then Melissa Kozyra is still there with the 1 plus 1.199.
I think we're going to see more improvement on this lap, though, and then most of our competitors should get one more with 1.5 minutes remaining on the clock. We're going to get down. We might even get into the 206s.
Look at the difference here. That's where the spray was just 4 laps ago, crossing the line. So there's an element here of drivers becoming more comfortable in the conditions, but there's also an element of the conditions changing. And now it's about capitalising, isn't it? Where normally you might go, I'm going to sack this session, I'm going in because I want to save my tyres for later on. Now it's a case of actually the track conditions are getting better and better. I want to run right to the checker.
And it's very well worth noting as well that the tyres that they're on now are not the ones that they will be required to start the race on.
Not the same as the dry tyres.
Correct.
Yeah.
They'll be given the option of a dry tyre, or if it's still wet or mixed conditions, they will be mandated to start on a new set of wet tyres. The wets they're on now, this is it. Use them up because they're never going to touch pavement again.
So for me, you'd stay out, wouldn't you? You would stay out to the very end. Kozyra goes quickest. Melissa Kozyra, 2:06.9. has gone to the top of the table. She's gone a second faster than Lewis Flory. That is a fantastic lap by her. Flory did a 2:07.935 on his last lap. His best is a 2:07.916, so he's within a couple of hundreds, but Kozyra's gone a second faster than that. Wow. Great job.
Improved. Lance Colley with an improvement. I was watching Patel to see if he managed to move up at all. He went about a half second slower on that lap, but Lance Colley up into P5. Great showing for the Ferrari of Atlanta driver. But Melissa Kozyra, she warned us, didn't she, the other day?
She was excited for it.
Oh, excellent, excellent performance so far as the clock ticks down. Now the checkered flag will wave on the start stand. Everyone allowed to finish the lap that they are on. But can anyone else get into the 2:06s and match Melissa Kozyra?
So Kozyra's best qualifying this year is P3 at Indy. It's her second season, I think. Oh, spin on board with Helen Chu. She goes round and she hits the wall. So unfortunately the checker flag is out, but it would have brought the red flag out, and what that is going to do is spoil any laps for people that are still out there. So it looks like Kozyra with a 2:06.9 is going to take this, because I think everybody else is going to have to come out of turn 11 slightly off the gas. Let's see, they might get away with it, and the track conditions are improving. Say checker's out, so you won't see a red that's going to affect anything. I think that's, you would know better than me. It's my first season. Is that Melissa Kozyra's first pole? Yes. I think it is. Yep. I think it is. Oh, that's a spin for Flory as well. So Flory's gone round, so he won't improve on this lap. He is avoided by Owens, who's already taken it. In fact, is that after the checker maybe? Because, oh, that was Owens that just passed him, wasn't it?
It was.
But Owens has already taken the checker. Yep. Yeah, they're towards the end of the lap, so.
Yeah, Melissa Kozyra ran a limited program last year. She ran in 6 races. 2 of them, she set the fastest lap in the race, but she did not score a pole position last year. So this is a very welcome debut for her.
That is absolutely fantastic. Melissa Kozyra, as the red flag comes out, confirms that she will be on the pole here in wet conditions, very, very tricky conditions. She has beaten the opposition by, I think it was nearly a second. It was just on, it was literally 0.996. She is a second quicker than anybody else. That is very impressive indeed. Congratulations to Melissa.
Very, very well done. And
brilliant.
For the recovery of Helen Chu's car, it should be fairly straightforward. She is located just at across from the entrance to the pit lane. So
push it back in.
Get a recovery vehicle.
Yeah, let's go.
Hopefully no delay before we send out our Copa Shell class. And that's going to be another interesting one, because we've got such a tight championship battle. Jan Bernier, Mitchell Green, Gary Ott, all 3 of those drivers troubling the podium yesterday. Which one of them is going to sneak the point for pole?
And they're all still relatively inexperienced in these conditions.
Yes.
So we know they're fast in the dry.
But Jan Bernier has the advantage of coming from Seattle.
Yes, of course, yeah, where it's a bit wet.
Yep.
It is a bit wet. And Massimo Prina said the same thing this morning. Confirmation then of the results. Melissa Kozyra with her debut pole position, 2:06.920, a second faster than the P2 man, yesterday's pole sitter, Lewis Flory. Then it's Gabe Hribb, Jeffrey Nunberg, Lance Corley, Danny Patel, Henry Hummel and Michael Owens. Remember, Gabe Hribb and Owens are in that championship fight at the moment. There's about 15-20 points in between them. Ed Vartigan, Jeffrey Keel, Helen Chu, who we saw have that spin into the wall at the end of the session, unlucky for Helen. Ramchada, Tom Petramalo, who was parked outside the exit of the pit lane for some time during that, and then Anthony DeCarlo with no time. Bottom of the dip there's a good example. Look at the standing water all the way across off the racing line, and then the racing line not dry but not standing water. Yeah,
it's still going to be a situation where all the cars for qualifying are asked to go out on the wet Pirelli tires.
Yeah.
So even by the time we get to Trofeo Pirelli, the top class, when they run much later on, it still should be a track where there is no hint of a thought of going to a full dry setup.
I'd love to see someone take the gamble.
Oof.
I love a bit of drama. It comes with the job, I think. It comes with the job. So yeah, this is the Copa Shell drivers getting themselves ready to go.
It's just so much power beneath your right foot. You really don't want to have a lack of traction.
Agreed.
And the wet weather Pirellis perform excellent, especially for a 12-minute session when the track is even drying. You still get a condition where you could dip a wheel over a curb and get a little bit of relief for the screaming tire.
It's whether or not the pinpoint accuracy of the top guys in Trofeo Pirelli, you know, if there was a drying line and you fancied your chances, but I think, yeah, as you say, we won't see it, but I'd like to.
Round of applause also to what we saw from Danny Patel. Very impressive qualifying session.
Yeah, good job. And his confidence back in that car. So after their issues yesterday, the team working hard to get everything ready. I can't wait to hear from Melissa. I'm guessing that Nina Jade will be on the way down pit lane now to try and find her. Applause in the background. She will be so pleased. She'll be so excited. I know she will. They've been on the radio to tell her, and it'll just be that wonderful feeling of no way. Got the pole. Cameras are at the ready, look.
Her coach greeting her. Cameron Lawrence coming over to help her get out of the car. The first of what could be many pole positions for that woman.
Fantastic. Melissa Kozyra on the pole in the wet. What a great job. That is brilliant to see.
Eric Backlard, the team owner, congratulating her as well. That man has won many, many races in Ferraris as team owner. Looking to try and do it again later today with Melissa. She's made it to the podium before. Well, she's been there for taking third twice, but yet to stand on the top step. Is pole position the first step in her achieving that dream?
Brilliant. There's Nina Jade sneaking down there now with the camera ready to get stuck in. Fantastic. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. Great stuff. Okay, let's get down there right now. Get in amongst all that emotion. What a brilliant drive for Melissa Kozyra.
Melissa Kozyra, not only is it your first pole this season, it is your first pole position in such trying conditions as well. Talk us through your emotions.
Oh my God, I'm shocked, quite honestly. It was slippery out there. I don't have much experience in the rain, but I was listening to my coach. I knew the car was good. The team's done a great job all season, just getting it, settled and planted on the track. And I don't know. I just went out there with a hope and a prayer, and wow, I'm P1.
You said you don't have much experience in the rain, but you were pole by a second. You made a statement. What was the key to mastering it today?
I think smooth hands, smooth inputs, just taking it easy, not trying to kill it, but, still trying to kill it.
Well, you're starting from the best seat in the house. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That tells you we need to know. Brilliant job by Melissa Kozyra, who says herself, I don't have much experience in the wet. Everybody else now is looking at her and going, wow, she went a second faster than we did. So regardless of that lack of experience, look at that rotation through there on the rear of the car as well. Nice car control. Good commitment in tricky drying conditions. I say drying, but going from standing water to no standing water. Great job.
What I love about this is the challenge, the gauntlet that she's just thrown down to all the Copa Shell cars.
Yeah.
Guys, there's a 206 out there. Good luck trying to find it.
And just so everybody at home knows, we've got another screen on here in commentary which is showing the fans in Belgium who are watching a track with no cars on it because F1 has decided they can't go out in those wet conditions, but Melissa Kozyra has decided that she can go set pole in those conditions. So come on, Spa-Francorchamps, you need to keep up with Watkins Glen. Let's go. Half the paddock will be hoping the race doesn't start until we finish qualifying because they'll all want to watch it as well. We get it. But I just think, it's fantastic. And I'm so pleased.
I'm sure that race will be on in Casa Ferrari a little bit later on as well. So hopefully, they're delaying it for us.
Yes,
they just
good
didn't
shout.
want to
fit
overlap
into our
with
lunchtime
us.
schedule.
Exactly, that's what it is.
Now, this will be interesting. We do now have a properly drying track. The sun is out, the wind is up. We can see some dry patches in turn one, but that doesn't necessarily make it easier. In some ways, this is harder.
It just got a lot hotter and more humid and a lot less desirable to be standing outside. I'm sure Nina Jade could attest to that the conditions right now, they're getting muggy. Drivers sitting in their cars waiting for the session to start. That's when you don't want to be a driver because as it is right now, not ideal. For the drivers out on the racetrack, though, in the Copa Shell class, they're looking at the track. They're going, okay, it's still slightly wet here. It's slightly wet there. But they're getting fooled because they're thinking, well, the sun's shining. The track must be dry. Nuh-uh-uh.
You get the reflections, too, which makes it hard to read the grip levels. There are lots of things which are, look at that, and then there's just the occasional puddle, so you can come into a braking zone with a wet tyre on a dry surface. There's lots of things which make the grip vary. Having said that, They have got another 8.5 minutes, and they can just feel their way into it. We know that the track is, at the minute, the track is 100% going to get faster as this session goes on. So don't chuck it off now.
Yeah, Jared Bilicek is leading Brad Evans, who's looking to try and make a pass on him. And behind them is Roy Carroll. Roy has a lot of experience in Ferrari Challenge. Neither of the drivers in front of him has nearly as much. And Roy is taking this very carefully. So that tells you the level of grip that's out on the track right now that he feels is available versus the two guys who don't have as much seat time. They're a little bit more brave. Roy is sitting back a little bit more circumspect. Which one of those approaches will come out to fruition? We're about to find out.
If I thought no one was going to chuck it off, I'd take my time for 2 or 3 laps, build some temperature, try to find some confidence, and then I'd progressively push more on each lap. The problem you've got is the one person who throws it off, if you get a red flag and then race control decides they've had enough, they've had half their session, is tough. So it's a real balancing act. It's a bit of a gamble between the drivers really to see when they want to go. Evans has done a 2:06 already.
2:04.5 for John Viscup. And a 2:04.6 for Mitchell Green. Now, Mitchell had the opportunity to run this morning. He was part of the Corsa Clienti group that was going out. He did not take to the racetrack because it was raining quite consistently. I wouldn't say heavily, but consistently. So Mitchell did not get that advantage that he got yesterday in a bit of extra track time, but a very good effort from John Viscup to start today's session. He is somebody who was 3rd in the Copa Shell category last year, 2024. Another man, though, who we need to keep an eye on is Jan Bernier. As I mentioned, Ferrari of Seattle, he's got a lot of experience driving in the wet.
Mitchell Green backed out of this pack. He was on the back of this pack and he suddenly disappeared on the run up to the bus stop, dropped right out of it. So obviously felt he had more pace, but of course, passing now we're getting a dry line is an absolute nightmare. So if you are quicker, you've got to find a different way to find some space. He dropped off the back. There were cars coming in behind him. I reckon he'll try to go ahead of them. But now the tactics are really coming into it as well, finding some space. How do you pass when the only dry line is the racing line?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to see that come into play for both Jan Bernier and John Viscup here in just a moment because they are catching the group that includes Bilicek and Carroll. This is going to impact both of their next laps and both of those drivers much further up in the championship. So it is going to be interesting to see how they handle the traffic. Now, the advantage is they all have wet Pirellis on. So going off the dry line.
But when the dry line's quicker, you know, you can't. Yes, you still got the grip, but it's going to be really, really rough to try and make a pass. What you want to hope is that the driver in front goes, okay, I'm having a rest lap, and pulls off the racing line. But I think that's unlikely too, with only 5.5 minutes to go. So well, let's see the times coming now. This is quick drivers coming up over the line. Watch for Bernier. Evans goes quickest with the 2:02.5. Bilicek goes in behind him. Then Viscup Green. Bernier to the top, 2:01.3 with Viscup now 0.3 off him. So Jan Bernier, who you're looking at, has gone quickest at 2:01.3. Yesterday's time was a 1:47 almost. So they're only now around 14 seconds off the pace compared to 20 of Copa Shell towards the end of their session. It's only a guide, but it gives us an idea of Gary Ott is P11. That's yesterday's pole man, Gary Ott, plus 8 seconds. So I think we can expect Gary to go quicker than that.
Yes, I think Gary's still building himself in for the quicker lap coming on this lap around. Just checking the weather radar, the rest of qualifying should be dry. We might get to a situation where race control says it's okay to run on the slick tires by the Trofeo Pirelli session. But again, it's up in the air as to whether race control trusts the competitors enough to give them that option.
So if they have the option then, so if they say at the minute it's a mandated wet,
Correct.
If they give them the option, can they choose either?
If they say that it is a wet track, you must run on the wet tires. If they say it's open, then you can run on wet or dry because wet weather tires have already been declared for use.
Yeah, I think by that point, I think you'd take the slick, wouldn't you? It's now is the condition where I would have loved to have seen Pirelli out and then give them the option, because then you might have seen some really brave decisions. Let's have a look. This is Mitchell Green in the bus stop, so coming through on the exit.
Just touch the curbs.
Does he avoid the wall? Oh, Mitchell Green, well done, goodness me. That is as close as you're going to get to taking the front splitter off that car without taking the front splitter off that car. That was pretty epic.
Mitchell Green should go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, he should. Yeah.
That was very, very lucky. Jan Bernier still with the fastest time. Gary Ott did not go fast on the last lap around as Brad Evans back up into third with a 2:01.9. That means we have 3 cars in the 2:01s now. Roy Carroll right there and thereabouts. He is at a 2:02.4. So a really good effort from the guy who was being very careful earlier on. What can Gary Ott do, though?
Yeah, Ott's down in P11 at the moment, 7.1 off. I think he was about 8 off before, so he's gone one. Well, how many laps has he done? Let's look at Ott. Oh, Ott's only on his 3rd lap, so he's come out slightly later than some of the other drivers. So the top 9 are all on their 4th laps already. We say Gary Ott was yesterday's pole. Where was Bernier? Yesterday, Bernier was P3.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes to go. Gary Ott still kicking up water at the exit of turn 9. The windshield wipers are on for Ott, although he has nobody in front of him, so it's not as if spray is being kicked up in his face. But it's still not ideal conditions out there, and we are definitely not ready for a dry Pirelli tire. As Ott comes across the line, what does he do? P1.
Fastest, wow, 0.4 of a second ahead. So Gary Ott waited a little bit later in the session. Not a bad idea. It's a gamble if somebody chucks it off. But with 2 minutes remaining, Gary Ott is looking to try and take his 2nd pole of the weekend.
Jan Bernier improved there too. He now is at 2:01.307, meaning that the top 2 cars are within half a second of each other. What can John Viskup do? His last lap around was backing off and giving himself some space. Brad Evans improved the last time around, as did Roy Carroll and Andrew Parker. So we are still seeing lots of improving times on the clock. As a 1.5 minutes to go, coming across the line, Brad Evans does not improve.
So the one I'm watching for really is Mitchell Green. Mitchell Green is in P11.
Yep.
Has had a spin. Here he is, Mitchell Green. So Green has literally got 2 laps to get a good lap in, having already had the spin, meaning your confidence is Viskup's gone quickest. Viskup's gone 0.4 quicker than Ott. But Mitchell Green now must do something. He yesterday got back to where he was at the start of the season. He showed that he had the pace to match Jan Bernier in the Championship League. Green goes quickest, 1:58.7. He proved yesterday that he was up for this championship fight, and he's just smashed it. 1.6 seconds quicker after a spin is a very impressive performance indeed.
And now it's up to Gary Ott to retaliate. 38 seconds to go on the clock. He'll get this lap and 1 more. Mitchell Green has 1 more lap as well. This is the time when you have to earn that point, and every single point makes a difference in this championship. We've seen it come down to just a handful of points in the past. Can Gary Ott retaliate? Can he try and move himself back up into contention with Jan Bernier and Mitchell Green? Rounds turn 11, stays well off the curbs. Very safe line.
Where is he go?
Now comes quicker. Across, no.
It's P2 though, he goes up to 2nd. So he does go 2nd, but he doesn't manage to take the pole. So Green's lap is looking really good. 2 seconds to go, the checkered flag will be out. Jan Bernier at the minute is on row number 2. So he'll be happy to remain there. I mean, he'd like to be. Is anybody in the pit? No, not at the minute.
Lisa Clark was the first one to see the checkered flag, though. She'll be no better than P10, then Andrew Parker crossed the line. Shout out to Mike Luley, who jumped up to P7 on the last lap. That was a very good effort from the man with more experience in Ferrari Challenge than anyone else ever has. John Viskup is still pushing. He's
pushing his luck with the paint as well. He's pushing his luck with the white lines out there. We heard a little bit of a tyre screech from the previous corner where he maybe ran a tiny bit deep. How hard is Green pushing? Is he on an in lap or is he on a push lap? It's hard for us to tell. I think he's still on a push lap. He's not using the full track width. He's been a bit safe with the white lines, but at the minute he can afford to be a bit safe because that last lap he did put him. Mitchell Green. So Viskup's gone quickest. So Viskup's just nicked it from him by 0.4. So Mitchell Green, can he respond? This is the final lap of the session coming down over the start-finish line now. Mitchell Green crosses the line. And it is a 1:59.4, so Viskup gets the pole unless Gary Ott can do something on the final lap. Here comes Bernier, goes P3. So Green and Bernier within 1/10 of a second of each other. Wow.
Bilicek jumped up to P3 at the time. He's now down to P5, and Roy Carroll as well moved up. He's P6.
This is the man we've got to watch out for. He's on his final lap. He's in P4 at the moment. He was the pole sitter yesterday. We've just seen people improving their lap times by a second on this final lap. Oh, he's early on the throttle. He runs the car all the way out to the white line. Nice and late and smooth on the brakes. Get it turned into 11. On the throttle early through here. Oh, looking for his second pole. He runs the car all the way across the side of the road over the start-finish line. Now comes Ott, and it's not enough. So Viscup retains the pole position. Great session. 0.8 across the top 4 cars. Mitchell Green really raised the game, didn't he, with that lap that went 1.6 quicker.
And considering in the previous qualifying session, the pole was almost a second of a buffer, to have the top 4 within 8 tenths. That's a testament to the drivers going out there in very changeable conditions. Impressive driving that we've seen so far from all of our Copa Shell and Copa Shell AM competitors. Really raises the bar for Trofeo Pirelli AM, who will be next out on the racetrack.
Viscup's first pole of the year. He had a win earlier on this season in Miami. Not sure if it's his first pole or not. I say it's what have you got from last year for Viscup?
Let's see, for Viscup last year, no poles, no fastest laps.
So it could be another career first for Viscup. You have to forgive me, I say my first season with the series. So looking back at the history books is tricky to do when you're on live TV. Either way, definitely first pole of this year, and we'll find out from Nina Jade how Viscup feels when he gets back to the pits. Track conditions continuing to dry. Look, there's still damp patches out here, Shay.
Oh yeah, the track is definitely not dry.
No.
And it's something that Trofeo Pirelli AM yesterday in the drivers' meeting, they were actually called out for qualifying, not giving each other enough space. So we'll see if they can abide by that a little bit better for today's race. But first off, congratulations to John Viscup, P1, and by quite a bit.
Yeah, nicely done. Viscup takes the pole with a 1:58.3. Mitchell Green P2, Jan Bernier P3. They're the championship fighters. Gary Ott is third in the standings and not far behind them. Bilicek, nicely done, up in P5. Roy Carroll 6th. Brian Waltersdorf is 7th. Brad Evans in 8th. Then we have Rose, Luli, Chen, Parker, Clark and Spasato down to P14. I thought there might be a bit more drama. Obviously, we've seen some people off. We've seen a couple of spins. Only Helen Chu, as far as we're aware, has made contact with the wall. So the drivers are all doing very well indeed in these conditions.
John Viscup giving
tap
his
on the roof,
Boardwalk Ferrari a bit of a celebration. They should be proud of that effort.
Nina Jade's down there now, going to meet our pole man.
Not that liveries have any correlation to going quickly, but that's 2 black and blue Ferraris that are on
That's
pole.
true. I like the wing mirrors though. The Star Spangled Banner on the wing mirrors there. Although the wing mirrors do get knocked off quite often. You know, you've got to show respect to the flag.
Exactly.
So you've got to keep that car out the wall.
Maybe that's
Brilliant
the
job.
team's way
It is of saying,
it.
don't you knock those flags off.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need to respect the flag. I tell you what, he's a brilliant drive to take the pole. So John Viscup with the pole with Nina Jade right now.
John Viscup, first ever career pole. Tell us how you feel. Talk us through your emotions.
It's great. This has been a battling week for me, and I had some good friends on the paddock say that my luck was about to change for today, so maybe it has, but we got a big race this afternoon, so it's going to be dry. It's going to be a fun battle. I'm excited, so thankful.
Well, you've got the best seat in the house, and you just said to me, we love the rain. What were the conditions like out there?
In the beginning, it was a little sketchy, but as the track dried up, it really wasn't an issue. I think the hardest thing was just keeping your tires cool. But we were doing a lot of work with the TC settings to try to get the most out of the car, and we came together at the last lap. So, yep, it was good.
Well, congratulations. Best of luck for the race.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant job by John Viscup. First ever pole for him. That is our second debut pole position today. Both runs have seen a new pole sitter, a first ever pole. Fantastic, proving they've got the talent in the tricky conditions. And obviously for Viscup, a bit of a monkey off his back if he felt that he was having a bad run. I think it's nice to know that he had support in the paddock and support of his team as well to do a fantastic lap there and take the pole in Copa Shell. We are moving on to Pirelli AM and then on to Pirelli. So the quicker drivers are coming through, those with more experience. The track conditions are drying a little bit. let's see how the risk reward goes. What you got, Shay?
If we're going to continue on this theme of new pole sitters,
let's.
I would keep an eye on Ophir Levy. Sebastian Mascaro would be a good shout for a first career pole. Maybe we might get a pole from... Oh, gosh. Well, we've had quite a few from Logan now. Musial has a long history of getting pole positions. Maybe we'll see something from Michael Porter. That could be a fun one. Or Dan Manganewski. He's a guy out of Florida. Florida gets a lot of rain. Maybe that might work, but the same could be said for Mascaro. So, we could just sit here and name everybody, but no,
Jay, I like it. It's looking into the crystal ball. I think we're definitely going to be right with the list. That one of them is going to get pole.
You know what? I'm gonna actually put my neck out and say Mascaro.
Okay, I'm good with you on that. So I saw him at breakfast. I said earlier on he'd said that he'd had horrible wet conditions. I actually think Sebastian might have quite liked it if it had stayed wet, but it's a drying track. Conditions are improving, and we will see who's got the necessary to go quickest in this one. Committed already. Look on their outlap, you can just see in the attitude of the cars, the way the nose dips, the way they're turned in more aggressively. The grip is definitely well up on the previous two sessions.
Yeah, for sure. Should say, by the way, the traffic continues out there as I got a shot of Michael Mathis's car right behind Jay Logan, and Michael Mathis's car doesn't look how it normally does. For friends and family of him all around the world, he is in a backup car this week after a crash on Friday meant that he couldn't use his primary car, and thankfully his buddy Jeff Nunberg lent him the spare car. So the 5 says 5T, that means it's the backup car. The 5T was in victory lane yesterday, so we know it's a good one in the dry. Let's see what it can do in the wet.
Out over the curbs already. The curbs obviously starting to offer up a little bit more grip than they were at the start of the session. Somebody peeling off into pit road. Cleveland goes back into the pits then immediately. I'd love to know what race control have said about tyres. Imagine if race control have said you can if you want. Cleveland's gone, go on then. I'll go in the pits now and take the slicks. But it may just be an issue. Shay's going to have a look out the window and see into pit road what they're doing to that car. It is dry on a lot of this lap now.
Front straight is properly dry, so that would be interesting. He's doing a lot of aggressive braking. I think, Andrew, he's just done this to try and get more heat in his Pirellis in a manner that's safe and not going to bother anyone else. It's exactly what he's done.
So in and out of pit road, just jumping on the brakes a few times.
That's exactly it. Aggressive acceleration and braking, and beautiful. He emerged into clean track as we
that's the other thing, was he looking for some space? Because that would be a good way to do it too, drive through. You're looking at Gerda Svenslavas with the stripes up the middle of the car. Who is behind him? Benoit Bergeron, I think it is.
I think you're right. The 23 is out there right now. That's Rob McWilliams. We will be seeing Ethan McWilliams in the next qualifying session.
So this is the session, isn't it? You said that the race control said you guys need to give each other a little bit more space.
Yes.
There was a stream of cars at the start of the session, which is totally understandable. We are looking for who did well yesterday. Let's have a look at the results and the lap times as well.
Well, Greg Hopkins is taking a very normal line through the corners, so clearly he feels as though the track is dry enough to not avoid any of the, well, normally you would avoid the patches where there would be more rubber because they would be more slippery, but Hopkins is not doing that. Let's see if it pays off for him. First car to trigger the clock was Martin Burrows, then Rob McWilliams, and yes, Greg Hopkins, fastest time, 1:55.493. So all of the cars already that have triggered the timing beam below the 2-minute mark.
So we're hearing from race control this session is still mandated wet tyres, and there is a chance they're going to give the choice to the Pirelli drivers, which we would love to see. Team's choice confirmed. So for the final session of qualifying for Pirelli, it will be their choice whether to go out on slicks or wet. I personally think they'll go slicks, because for me, unless you've got any kind of puddle, at the point you see, we call it standing water, but that makes it sound like big puddles. It's not really. Even a damp track would tend to be quicker on a slick tyre, but this is not a damp track for me. This is dry. Like, I'd be going to slick 100%.
Yeah, there's definitely some spots on the track, like coming up into turn 9.
Yeah.
It still has some water. The exit of 9, it is still wet, so you would need to tell your driver very early on if you're sending them out on slicks, hey, be careful here, here, and here. You're going to get fooled into thinking it's a normal dry track, but...
And then you're going to get bitten at the end of the lap. But I think the fact it's the Pirelli drivers, those with the most experience, in theory, the gain from the whole of the fast part of the track is worth the caution. And then it's how much caution, isn't it? So it could be absolutely fascinating. Porter goes quickest.
I said Michael Porter's not had a pole position, and he's trying to set that right. A 154.193. He is the fastest car on the track right now, taking that back from Michael Mathis. Jay Logan did a very conservative opening lap to try and figure out the grip. Now he's flying, though. He's actually pulled a gap on the cars behind him. So let's see if Jay Logan can improve.
Good clear track in front as well, has managed to find some space here. So Logan comes through the long left-hander into the final corner. Nicely done. Here he comes out towards the curb if he wants a good lap time. Not going to be enough for pole because it's a 154.1 and we're past that point already. So it does move up a couple of places. Mascaro's still down in P15, look, so Sebastian Mascaro will go a bit quicker.
He did a very conservative outlap. It was making sure that he could see where all the puddles were, but Ray Acosta is hounding the back of Ophir Levy. The two of them are interrupting both of their qualifying laps.
Cools his tyres, look.
Yeah, Acosta dove over for that puddle to try and just get a little relief for his Pirellis.
Needs some space, though, as well.
Yeah.
Desperately needs some space. So Acosta was, you say, was right on the back of Levy. Acosta's in P3. What's the laps that they've done? Levy's see Levy's on lap 2. So's Acosta though. So Acosta just got on it earlier. Levy's now on a push lap. You can tell from the way he used the curbs. And Acosta moves across. He's had to let a car go. So
Very
Acosta
classy.
rolls off and is now looking for a bit more space. So Ray Acosta in P3, looking for more space. Levy, we think, has just started a good old push lap. He's down in P9 at the moment. What about Mascaro? Still 4.7 off.
He still hasn't crossed the line for to complete his third lap yet. Manganuski, though, was on a flyer. Acosta looked in his mirrors, saw Manganuski, and pulled out of the way to avoid impeding a competitor. That was a very classy move from Ray Acosta, even though it compromised his next lap, which is this lap around. Brad Favre was our pole sitter yesterday.
Yeah.
What did he do? His first attempt was P7. He looks like he's on a much better lap this time around, though. He did back out of it to try and find some more space. Behind him is Dave Musial, so he can't back off too much, and Brad Favre is pushing now.
Favre with some attitude in the car, definitely, but then a little moment in mid-corner, you can just see the car washed a bit more than he thought it would, and it's still very wet over the white line on the outside, but people are starting to use that section now. So Favre with one tiny mistake in the middle of the lap, but as we said, he's pole yesterday. Here he comes through now, doesn't run it all the way to the curb. We know it was a push lap because there was a mistake in the middle of it. It was only tiny. Will it cost him? He moves up to P5, and he's 1.5 off that fastest lap, so needs to just find a little bit more. Only the tiniest little run wide, but that's those damp patches, isn't it? Mid-corner again there, just running a bit deep and then having to come down a gear because didn't get the anticipated exit speed.
All it takes is that moment where you have to point your hands in a direction where the track doesn't go to cost you that little bit of speed, and that's the difference between first and fifth.
Look at the dampness there between the two corners as well, so I'm fascinated to see if everybody in Pirelli takes slicks or not the next session to come out.
I think the guys at the front of the front they'll gamble on that.
You have to, surely.
The question is, do you do it if you're sort of toward the middle of the pack? If yesterday you were P4, P5, you want to try and chance it at risking yourself going further up, but you take the risk of winding up in the barrier. As Ray Acosta now begins his final attempt. This should be this and one more for Ray Acosta, but I would imagine that this is going to be his best lap. Michael Mathis still P2, Michael Porter P1. And let's see, who was the only car who improved last time around was actually Brad Favre. Everyone else was doing times that looks like they were cooling off a bit. Greg Hopkins is going around, he's still P4, but pushing. Right in front of him is Rob McWilliams. Still, those two cars tethered together. Hopkins, much better exit of turn number 9. McWilliams coming into the pits. By the look of it, Hopkins stays out. He is pushing hard. Can Greg Hopkins move up from the 4th position? Comes out of the exit of turn 11. Still very, very smooth. will not move up. 3 seconds off of the best time. I wonder if the tires are past their peak at this point.
This is the man that I'm keen to see what's going on with. Is Sebastian Mascaro, who's down in P15 at the moment. Mascaro qualifies a lot better than that normally. So we don't know. There could be another issue that he's fighting in the car.
It's my fault. Curse of the commentator.
Yeah, you've done a good job. It's normally me that does the commentator's curse, but
Sorry,
wow. I mean, so, it's your first race of the week of the year, and you're killing it for these people. Where's Mascaro going to go? Slides to the inside, was 15th, doesn't go quicker.
But he's got this lap, and he got a great toe crossing the start line. Mascaro well off the curbs into turn 1. He lost quite a bit of speed in that. I wonder if maybe the excess speed going into turn 1 caught him out. But a really solid effort by Michael Porter. I am very impressed by what this man has been able to do.
He, at the minute, is the pole sitter by 0.169, but don't count anybody out, because last time we were seeing people banging their hot laps right at the very end of the session. At the minute, Falver has just done his quickest lap, as has Mascaro and Cleveland. They are the only drivers who went quicker on that last lap.
Porter comes into the pits. He's a man who actually ran in the top class of NASCAR for 10 years in the 80s.
Oh, that's cool.
Left racing in 1992. Family got in the way. Well, not got in the way, but he decided that family was more important than racing. Came back to racing in 2019. So really chuffed to see Michael Porter at the top of the charts. And I'm going to put my hand up and say that this would be his first pole.
Let's see. Could we have 3 then? That would be cool. Then we're looking for a 4th, aren't we? I don't know if there's anybody in Trofeo Pirelli who hasn't had a pole. You'll have to tell me that.
Gray Favre is the only one. And Ethan McWilliams.
Okay.
But can anyone unthrone Massimo Perano, only not on pole twice in his career?
I think that's going to be a tough ask. Everybody's starting to peel in towards the pits now. Where's Mascaro? He's still out there. He's still ahead of Benoit Bergeron. He's in that pack of cars. Oh, it might be Bergeron in front of him. 3 yellow cars out there. I knew there were 2. Vince Lavas as well. So where is Mascaro? Anybody getting compromised on the exit here? They're all going pretty quick. Checker flag is out, so this will be the final lap for all of these drivers. Watch if they pull off to the right-hand side, they're going into the pits, and a couple of them look like they are. Where's Mascaro going? They all are,
pits. So
they're all peeling into the pits. So Shay, I wonder if you're right. I wonder if because they were on the wet tyre, but in dry conditions predominantly, that there isn't the life in the tyre at the end of the session.
Just judging on what we've seen as far as the lap times went out, I think that it definitely did. Just it eroded. The tire did what it's supposed to do. It moved the water. Once the water was moved, it then turned into effectively a slick tire. But that tells us for Trofeo Pirelli, we're ready for the dry tires.
Now, don't count Mascaro out. He qualified 15th in Daytona, and he got P2.
There we go.
But, come on, Sebastian. Let's see a fight back through. But Michael Porter is the man we're celebrating right now. 154.193. Enough for the pole, I'm sure, because as you can see from our pictures, everybody who's still out there has rolled off the throttle, used up the best of the Pirelli wets in these conditions. The other thing this does indicate to me is I'll be staggered now if anybody in Pirelli doesn't take the slick. Yep. Because if you know, I mean, to be fair, the slick normally has a limited run in terms of quick laps, but I don't think that'll be an issue with there being some wet patches out there. They'll probably get more laps out of the slick in terms of getting the optimum lap time. Whoever that is still pushing.
There's a couple of showers in the vicinity. They're not close enough to hit us during this next 15-minute session, but they are around. So this threat of pop-up showers is going to continue on for the entirety of the day. And actually, if I zoom the map out even further, there is a huge cell that looks like it's coming towards us. So
let's go.
Let's go.
I'm up for it.
This might be our only opportunity for dry tires today.
Are they going racing in Spa yet?
Nope.
Oh, come on.
That they're waiting for us.
Yeah, okay. So 12 minutes.
It's fine.
12 minutes. If you're watching F1, if you're waiting for F1, 12 minutes is when it'll happen. Michael Porter takes the pole. Is it a third debut pole? We'll find out when he speaks to Nina Jade. Then it's Michael Mathez, Ray Acosta, Brad Favre, Greg Hopkins, Robert Williams, Matthew Diel, Gerdas Ventslavas, Musial, Levy, Burrows, Bergeron, Magnaszewski, Logan and Mascaro down in P15. After seeing him at breakfast, I know he won't be happy with that. And then it's Cleveland and Gutierrez. Sun is shining in upstate New York. Nina Jade is with Michael. Let's go down and have a chat.
Michael, we talked yesterday and how it feels good to be back racing with Ferrari Challenge, and you've stuck it on pole in these conditions. Talk us through your emotions.
I'm very happy. For starting in last yesterday to starting in first today, it's very emotional, yeah.
We saw a couple of the drivers struggle with their tires out there. What was the key in putting that lap together for you?
It was going hard, fast, early, because the first flyer, I think, was my best lap, and then it was the tires, because it was so dry, they were falling off so fast, and I think if you were tentative on the first 2 laps, then you had no chance.
Well, congratulations. Go well later.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Great stuff, all smiles, and Shea Adam, bang on the money. It basically dropped off. Interesting what you said, wasn't it? If you didn't commit early when you had some tyre, game over. So he got that early lap in and it was enough.
Yeah, and it was very much out of the blue because his opening lap was quite conservative, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's P1. So a very good job from Michael Porter, another driver representing Ferrari Seattle. So will that trend continue for Trofeo Pirelli as they are on their outlap now, and the group is together. Leading them out, it looks like it might be Cookie, as Massimo Perina is there, as well as Roberto. So
it's Medler looking P1 from Perina.
Robert, well, we do have a big day coming up for Dylan Medler because he didn't get the race that he wanted yesterday. So this is going to be redemption. His 2.0 is right there as well.
Perina looked going to take that lead position round the outside. So Perina passes Medler. Medler yesterday was following, if you remember, during qualifying as well. A pack of 5 cars here. So who's not left pit lane? Cookie must still be in pit lane. Did you say?
Yes, Cookie is still in pit lane. Tony Davis, Jason McCarthy is in this group, as is Dylan Medler, Massimo, and Roberto Perina. 2.0 is there. Ethan McWilliams we have yet to see, and Gray Fauber we have yet to see.
Perina's off, so Massimo Perina's looking to gap everyone. Obviously this won't be a quick lap because it's the first lap, but also you don't necessarily want to give away any secrets, so he might quite like to get away from the pack. Or he just might be feeling more confident in terms of the grip levels. We're taking a look around the circuit, so you see the damping, the dip has started to go as well.
Yep.
There were those various different strips that we felt this exit here is now dry. That was wet before.
But they need to be careful not to push too much at the apex of 9, because if you run out towards the wall, there will be the opposite of grip. There will be something encouraging you into the barriers.
Yeah, there certainly will. But look at that, yeah, they run through turn 11 as well. So I wonder if they'll go for it on this next lap or one lap more. I think it'd be 1 lap more warming up, looking at the attitude in the cars, but let's see.
It will take a little bit of extra time as well to try and get the heat into these slick Pirelli tires, because of course the surface is a lot cooler than it was yesterday for the race. The ambient temperature is starting to get more humid, and it is starting to feel like a much less pleasant environment out there. But as far as the tire is concerned, that's not what they need.
So Medler is about to let a couple of cars go. Interesting, is Medler looking for space on the track? He must be.
Oof, big wiggle for Ethan McWilliams.
McWilliams, yeah, left it too late. Medler will see that as well. Medler taking a sensible approach here and will just give himself a bit of space, while McCarthy is right up behind now.
You've got the exact opposites right there. Ethan McWilliams, newbie to racing in Ferrari Challenge. Jason McCarthy, multi-time champion in Ferrari Challenge in many different iterations of the cars and the classes. Jason knows this game very, very well. He knows to sit back and be slightly patient.
Someone who is not being remotely patient, Massimo Perina, with a little weave, and that's what I mean about, I think, this not being the full push lap. This is the temperature lap now, so a little bit of weaving just on the straights, just to put a bit more temperature into the Pirellis. But look at the gap behind him. It's got confidence written all over it. It's gone out in the first lap, a little bit of a push. Second lap, big push, get the temps. Now watch him into turn 11. So this is 10, and the next one is absolutely crucial. He needs to get a perfect entry and exit from 11 if he wants this to be a good lap. Oh, hearing a tyre squeal in the background. Here comes Perina, right out over the curb. So Massimo Perina then going on for a first push lap. Goes straight to the top of the table, but not with what we would regard as a fast lap.
Well, 152.6 is still definitely moving, but we expect more from Massimo Perina.
It'll be. I think personally, if we see him weave on this one, I'll be surprised. I think this is the first proper lap for me. 2.3 back McWilliams, McCarthy 8.7. Yeah, so it's only Perina and McWilliams have done anything kind of meaningful. I'm keen to see what Medler does as well, dropping back that far to make some space, but also the drivers who haven't come out yet. They have.
There we
okay,
go.
everyone's circulating. Everybody's circulating. Perina, Roberto, and Davis and Cook are also on their first laps.
Yeah, Tony Davis about to complete his first lap. Driver who won the championship in Copa Shell in his first time asking, and then jumped up 2 classes for the next year. He goes to P3, does Tony Davis. And again, that was not necessarily all that he has. That was just sort of feeling things out. Now we look back to see what Brian Cook can do. Another one of the drivers from the Ferrari of Seattle organization swept the podium for Trofeo Pirelli yesterday, first, second, and third. We saw big celebrations from that team and lots of photos. Many, many happy people as Cookie's opening lap is now complete. And he begins his first real flyer.
So Roberto Perina's first push lap was very good indeed with a 151.8 to go that fast on only lap 2. So Massimo, we think, has taken a little, we think, on lap 3, which will be this one when he completes it.
Roberto was excited about the possibility of a slippery track, though, because he is very comfortable in these conditions.
See what Massimo does as he comes down over the line. Target's a 151.8. That is the target of his uncle. 146.1. Now we're talking 5.7 seconds faster. We saw him on the warm-up lap on the previous one. Straight onto a proper lap this time round. McCarthy coming round now. McCarthy currently 15 off thanks to that massive gap. Goes up into P2, 1.7 off. McWilliams has gone 1.8 off, so they've gone in between. Here comes Medler. Medler comes up 3.5 back. We'll need a quicker lap than that. So Medler yet to put in a full-on push lap, in my opinion. Runs out over the curbs in turn 1.
Here comes Roberto Perina completing his lap. He had a little bit of traffic. It was Jason McCarthy who did the second best lap time that one around. He's a 147.947, so he's 1.7 off the best time we've seen. And then Ethan McWilliams again with a good opening attempt. What can Tony Davis do before we see Roberto Perina? Davis jumps up to P5, Perina goes to P2, and only half a second off of Massimo.
So it's a Perina 1-2, a front row lockout at the moment. McCarthy's got to find some 1.2 seconds if he wants to do that. Medler got to find another couple of seconds if he wants to move up onto 3 seconds at the moment to get onto the front row. So Medler, I was going to say, in the championship fight after yesterday, it's definitely a little lock up there on the brakes for McWilliams. You just saw the front right, just a tiny puff of Pirelli smoke as he jumped on the anchors. But yeah, yesterday, big advantage to Perina with what happened to Medler. Real shame for Medler to get the puncture.
Yeah, it really was. And he'll be looking at this point knowing, well, I've got nothing to lose. I might as well throw everything at it. Coming around now, Ethan McWilliams to complete his 4th lap. Let's see what time he can pull out. He's 1.8 back.
He's using a lot of track. He ran all the way to the grass, not just the white line on all 3 of the previous corners. Comes over the line, moves up 1 spot, so McWilliams goes up to P3. Here is Medler. So Medler's one that we've been watching out for. This has to be a good lap by Dylan Medler. His rival Massimo Perina's on the pole. Can Medler get on the front row with him?
No.
Row 2, close enough, but no cigar yet, but row 2 he'll be happier.
But the reason that he's closer but not yet there is because Perina lowered the benchmark. He's now got nearly a second over his uncle as Massimo went to a 145.6.
At the minute, everybody has gone quicker on every lap. Our timing screen is lit up in either blue or purple, which for our purposes means personal best or best overall. So Massimo Perina's gone quicker on every single lap. There will come a point at which that'll drop off. I don't think it will be tyres on this occasion. I think it will be conditions and just that you're going to get the best out of a kind of damn patches. It's not really, is it?
That just happened, though. Roberto Perina did not improve that lap around. He was a 10th slower. So we're talking about not improving, but now we're splitting hairs. Tony Davis did improve. He's now up to P6, while 2.0 is down in 7th. What can he do? He's got a lot more speed in his car, and 2.0 knows how to drive in mixed conditions. So I'm expecting to see the second Musial, moving his way up the charts a bit. Dave Sr. calls him 2.0, by the way, because he says he is the better version of himself.
Yesterday's pole on the dry was 145.2. Perina is only 4/10 off the dry pole from yesterday. Track temperature yesterday was a couple of degrees more than this looking at the air temp. I don't have track temp right in front of me, so it's a slightly warmer track, but there's still some damp patches out there. That's a very, very impressive lap by Massimo Perina.
But right now we've got blue sky to the north and dark, dark clouds straight out to the east. And as I said, the weather moving in from the west. We don't know what we're going to have for the race conditions as Dylan Medler jumps up to P2. He is a second off of Massimo Perina. Massimo went even faster the last time around, a 45.4 now.
So he's now 2/10 off, almost to the 100th. His pole time from yesterday in bone dry conditions. It just continues to impress, doesn't he? And now you can hear from the throttle note he's lifted. So Perina, I think, has done what he's going to do in this session with 1:40 left. I think he's happy to say that's the best that's going to go. If he's within 2/10 of yesterday, he'd be within his rights to go, I'm not going to go any quicker than that, I'm going to park it. Let's see.
Bone dry conditions from yesterday, but also a lot of grip on the track, which has all been washed away.
Yeah, sure.
So that's even more of a testament to the speed that he's managed to find.
It's good, isn't it?
Very good.
You just know that you go, nah, I'm good. I'll go in now. That's it. That's enough.
That's all I can do. Good
Save
luck
the rubber
catching
too.
me.
Save the rubber for later. Assuming they have taken the slick, which we think all the drivers in this session have taken the slick, then he will use those for later on unless it rains.
Watching Cookie come around to finish. He found almost a second that time around. Did Brian Cook? He's up to P7 behind Tony Davis.
Quicker, aren't they? Roberto Perina, the only driver, hasn't. And I say we're talking about 1/10 of a second, but people are still finding fast laps.
Yeah, they are. Tony Davis stays out there. He's on the throttle, as is Roberto Perina, still pushing.
40 seconds left in this session means that most of the drivers out there will just complete the lap that they are on. The only thing that occurred to me about Massimo is he could be resting for a lap and then go again, but I just can't see the point personally when you're a second up the road with a minute to go.
And I don't know that he's got time to do one more if he doesn't push now.
Yeah.
Crossing the line, Medler does not improve. McCarthy does not improve.
Yeah, so we're starting to see now that there is no more pace out on track.
Perina did come in the pit lane.
Yeah, so Perina's in the pits. So Massimo Perina has parked it, currently in the pole position. We've got a couple of seconds left before the checker flag comes out, then we'll see a few drivers over the line. Continues to impress, doesn't he?
Does Roberto improve, though? I mean, the gap to Tony Davis has not changed. Davis crosses the line, and he does improve. P4, P3 for Roberto Perina. Both of those drivers improving their times. Really good lap from Tony Davis. The number 4 machine is into P4.
So in theory then, anyone who's on a lap, is Medler still on a lap? Yes, Medler hasn't seen the flag. It's Perina's celebrating already. 8 out of 10 if nobody beats him here, which is an 80% pole record. Look at the mirror. I wasn't sure there was it close to the wall. I don't know. I doubt it. I'm sure it was absolutely inch perfect. Yeah, driver's starting to roll off the throttle now on the run back. That's McCarthy, who to me is not pushing here. He'll turn right, I'm sure, and go into pit lane.
Yeah,
he does. So I think unless the only person who could threaten it is Medler if he's still pushing. But what did he do last time? 46.7.
He was thereabouts.
Yeah, we're hearing he's off the throttle from our director with the other cameras out on track. So Massimo Perina, 8 poles from the 10 races so far this year. Absolutely incredible performance, and it will be his rival Medler, who is alongside him on the front row, and his uncle Roberto, who will be behind him playing rear gunner again into the first corner. Here is Medler, and he does indeed peel off into the pits.
And the funny thing is, it will be mixed messaging from the Perinas, because Massimo will be going, please let it stay dry, and Roberto will be going, please let that pop-up shower just appear.
I don't mind either way. I'm up for a bit of drama. So if we can get the rain later, we'll take it. But it was good to see as well. Hats off to the drivers. Very, very little wet running this year, and very, very few incidents in those 4 sessions. So
yes,
great driving across all 4 classes.
Just the one red flag, and it ultimately didn't impact anything because we'd already seen
right
the
at the
checker.
end of the session. Yeah, it was like literally 11 minutes 50, wasn't it? Perina jumps back out over the pit wall for the now familiar job of going for a quick chat with Nina Jade. He might as well stick it in his schedule, mightn't he?
He should.
Yeah.
Although he never would, because he's such a humble young man.
Yes, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's just focus on one thing at a time. get the job done, and he has got the job done here. Massimo Perina, his 8th pole in 10 races so far this year. 1:45.4 is only 2/10 slower than he went yesterday in a bone-dry, rubbered-in track. Very impressive. Medler a second behind, then Roberto Perina, Tony Davis, Jason McCarthy, Ethan McWilliams, Brian Cook, Dave Musial Jr., Gray Falvera P9. Nina Jade is with our pole sitter, Massimo Perina.
I am with the fabulous Massimo Perina. Lovely lap. You were going quicker and quicker and quicker. Walk us through the lap itself. Where did you find the most time?
Just everywhere. I mean, just on the 2 prep laps for the tires, just was making sure where the track was still dry or where it was wet, and ended up finding that it's pretty much all dry except for like 1 to 2% of the lap, mostly on exits, but almost all the way dry.
Are you thinking about the championship at this point, or is it just one session at a time?
I'm thinking about it every single chance I get because it's a long year. We still have, after this race, 2 more full rounds, and it's not over till it's over.
Well, go well, they, sir.
Thank you very much.
Very sensible head on Massimo Perina. 8 out of 10 pole positions, an absolutely brilliant performance by him. Slow motion through the bus stop. It won't be slow motion later on today when we go racing. We'll be back at 12:40. That's 12:40 Eastern time. If you'd like to watch the pre-show, thank you very much to Shay Adams, co-coms here, Nina Jade Paul reporting from the paddock. My name is Andrew Coley. See you at 12:40 Eastern time today for more action from Ferrari Challenge North America.